I know that the MC was a bit confused when he saw so many past ministers. There's no problem. You see, as a minister, you graduate. From minister, you become immediate past minister. From immediate past minister, you become former minister. From former minister, you become ex-minister. From ex-minister, you become one-time minister. Small fact, by the time you leave, they might have changed your name like they changed mine several times. And I remember one day when my then 4-year-old grandson said, "Grandpa, why did they call you Lai Mohammed?" Now, so, in such circumstances, you must remain focused and stick to the truth, no matter how unpalatable or unpopular. For instance, during the NSAS saga, I had to take on the world's most powerful news organization in the world, the CNN. I was able to do this because I was convinced of the rightness of my position. Ladies and gentlemen, it's with profound pleasure and honor that I welcome you all into the wonderful, exciting, and ever-dynamic world of public relations. There's no doubt that your sound education, whether as a mass communication graduate or of any other discipline, and the master classes that you have just successfully completed will serve as indispensable tool in your practice of the profession. However, as someone who has been privileged to have practiced public relations at 3 different levels and strata, i.e. as a public servant, as a political party spokesperson, and as a spokesperson for the federal government, I want to assure you that you still come across in your practice new challenges that will require, in addition to your very sound education and professional training, attributes such as resourcefulness, adaptability, focus, ability to think on your feet, diplomacy, courage, and above all, loyalty. No matter your course of study, you require a thorough understanding of the workings of the organization you represent. If you are practicing public relations in the aviation industry, or in the engineering field, or in the hospitality industry, you must understand the nitty-gritty of that industry, in addition to your professional and academic qualifications. Sometimes this might entail you being embedded in various management courses in addition to your own private study of your environment and industry. This is because you must always bear in mind that when you are addressing a press conference or you are issuing a press release, your success lies in your thorough understanding and mastery of your industry, first and foremost. The questions you'll be asked will be related and targeted largely to the operation of that company or entity you represent. Always remember that as a PR guy, you are the undertaker, you are the fall guy. And when anybody pees or poos, you're expected to clean it up. You can't do a thorough cleaning job if you don't understand the nature of the garbage. As a spokesperson, you are the ambassador of your organization, and it is through you that the organization will be judged. One of the biggest challenges of the PR practice is that of integrity. As a spokesperson of your organization, you may often find the organization in the wrong. In such situations, trying to sell a lie may backfire fatally. Always be ready to admit where your organization is wrong. That way, the scandal will not last long. You should admit the truth wrapped with hope and solutions. Another very important requirement is hard work. A PR practitioner is on his toes 24 hours. He must not fall into the habit of delaying responses, because the longer he delays in his responses, the more time he gives the naysayers the opportunity to spread their own narrative. Thanks to social media today, a spokesperson can issue statement any time of the day and be assured it will be reported. Furthermore, make sure your statements are precise, unambiguous, tight, and incapable of any other interpretations or meanings except what you intend it to be. In my career as a spokesperson, especially in the political field, I've many times had to put party loyalty over and above friends, family, or business interests. In the process of being a spokesperson, you will step on many toes. But always remember that being a spokesperson for an organization is not about a popularity contest. You must be strong because you are going to receive flags, especially in the political field, or from your competitors. Some fair, a lot very unfair.
I must say that I've been lucky somehow to go through different experiences. I started the political life as a commissioner for information in my state of Nasarawa before I became a deputy governor. And then subsequently, I became Minister of Information. First Minister of State, then full Minister of Information, and even Minister of Defense before I left. Let me say that public communication requires a lot of attributes. Without insight, without understanding of the arena, without, I've told people before, to be Minister of Information in Nigeria, the most difficult job is like being the head coach of the national football team. It's not an easy thing, because I find that in speaking for the nation, a complex nation like Nigeria, the first thing you need to do is to understand the country. And to be able to do so, as my colleagues who have been at this level will tell you, you have to be able to have the knowledge of the polity, the knowledge of the economy, the knowledge of the policy of government. You have to understand your boss. You have to understand the main goals of the nation. And for me, when I was Minister of Information, for example, it was in the height of Boko Haram. And I had to lead the communication in explaining terrorism to the nation. And I kept insisting that we have entered a new phase of life, and we need to bring the nation to understand where we are in. As the military spokesman will understand, there was a day when we were leading the conversation on Boko Haram. A service chief said, we'll finish with Boko Haram in 2 months. I quickly called him to my office. I said, gentleman officer, how are you going to finish the Boko Haram in 2 months? This is an insurgency. They don't have uniform. It's a guerrilla warfare. You don't know the enemy, only the enemy knows you. And from what I have studied about terrorism, from the Middle East, right down across the Sahel region in West Africa, I've not seen any nation that have dealt with it in 2 months. I say, please, don't give deadlines, but let us explain to the nation what we are into, educate the public, bring them in. Every Nigerian should be an information conveyor to inform the government about what is operating in their own areas. To organize the publicity. And you can see up to now, it is still a challenge. It is still a challenge. Now, sometimes you will find in speaking for an organization, especially in a political environment, you need wisdom, you need strength and courage. It took us a lot of courage in 2012 to campaign for the removal of subsidy under President Jonathan. We knew that subsidy was no longer feasible. We also knew that subsidy was damaging policy initiatives in the oil sector. But in the end, politics overtook the necessity to bring change at a time that it will help the nation. And at that time, and I'm talking this seriously here as political actors, we must be very patriotic even when we're in the opposition, for example. Because there are policies that are for the good of the nation, that every political actor should see and see the reality of it. We delayed. Today, President Tinubu has had to enforce this policy because there is no money anymore to be able to implement subsidy. But we are late almost by 10 years. And now you can see the political situation. I believe for those of you who are coming in newly, please distinguish public information from propaganda. It is very, very important. Because sometimes it is easy to pass from communication to propaganda. And in the end, society is misled. And by the time society is coming to the truth of the matter, it is too late. Let us be very, very sensitive. As for the media industry as a whole, we put on the stage the Freedom of Information Act. And a lot of people are still not using it, especially I'm speaking to journalists in the room. It was so difficult in those days to get public information. Now we have a law that enables Nigerian citizens to go to government and seek information as a matter of right, whether they are journalists or not. And this is not being used effectively. I believe NIPR, NUJ, and other professional organizations should be able to take advantage of it to increase public communication, to know what is going on, in the society and in the polity. Communication is the most important aspect of human life. Everything we do is by communication. Human society is led by communication. If we are in this room because we communicated with one another, what we see in the social media age is that it is now getting very difficult because the kind of things you read in the social media, because everybody now can just put in anything, carry your phone, and say anything. When I read some of the social media platforms concerning Nigeria, I am afraid because of the divisions. Divisions along religious lines, division on ethnic lines, division across regional lines, and this is damaging the political future and unity of Nigeria. Let me say to young people, please, whatsoever the situation, no matter your passion, remember that without Nigeria, not only Nigerians, the whole of the continent will be in jeopardy. Let us speak from the point of view of patriotism or believing in the nation. The divisions that I see today, even in the media, are very dangerous for the future of our country. As young people come into journalism, stand by the truth. Is it fair? What you are writing, is it fair? Have you communicated to everyone that is involved in this story? Is it true? Can you defend it before a court of law, what you are writing? It is very, very crucial. If you do not follow the ethics and the professional standards, you jeopardize your organization. There are many organizations that are paying millions because somebody inadvertently says something that was false. And so in public relations, remember that there are costs. When you make silly mistakes, you do not cross-check your facts. When you do not cross-check your story, it can become a major issue. And for those of you who practice journalism, I'll give you just a short story and stop here. When June 12th election was coming on, I was a political editor of a national newspaper. The publisher of the paper was in the opposition, was in NRC. Now, Chief Abiola, of late memory, was standing on SDP, and late Bashir Kofa was contesting under the NRC. After I did my analysis nationwide, I believed that the SDP was going to win the election. So I published my analysis June 12th. The odds favor SDP. My editor-in-chief was worried because he didn't know how the publisher may react. So while he left the story, he changed the headline. June 12th, the odds favor NRC. But the body of the story was saying something else. When I saw the first edition of the paper, I quickly went to him. I said, sir, I'm the political editor of this paper. News analysis is different from opinion. This is not an opinion. This is a scientific analysis of the political trends and what we expect after tomorrow's election. I said, please, I come in my honor. If you don't believe the story, take it out. But if you publish the story and Abiola does not win, hold me responsible. So he had to change the headline for the second edition and say June 12th, the odds favor SDP. And when the election came, clearly, Chief Abiola won. And he called me to say, my young man, thank you. Because the analysis showed that in every state, as we predicted, they won the election in those places. Now, if you do not have the courage, if you do not have the professional stamina, you are likely to mess yourself up. There's also a lot of self-censorship in the media. Even when the facts are there, you find that people sanction themselves, pretending that the people at the top will not be happy with their stories. You don't grow that way professionally. State the truth and follow it, and that is the only way you'll be able to grow and make an impact. Finally, let me say that we are here today to grow young people. Please remember that in all we are saying, I believe if God is not behind you, you will not succeed.